Yo, how's it going, guys? I'm Dave Higgins, welcome to Sandbox Xplorer. I got Mortal Kombat right after it came out, and it was way better than I expected it to be, and I expected it to be pretty awesome. Now, once you load up the game and you get to the main menu, from the looks of it right away, you can see it's a little bit grainy, but it's not by any means a deal breaker because it's just the main menu. If you stay idle for long enough, it'll do the classic CPU versus CPU demo. Alright, let's jump into the game modes. Now there's 4 different tabs to select from. As you go through each one, you have a few different options. The first tab is called Conquer, and in there you have Story Mode. Story Mode is extremely good. I've only really seen the 90s movies and played a couple of the older games, up until Mortal Kombat 10, X, whatever. That was a great game as well. I loved that Jason and Predator were in the game. I kind of wanted them to be in this one, but I had a feeling that they wouldn't be because those were kind of the gimmicky characters, but they were awesome, so consider putting them in there maybe. I also want to say that even though I love Ronda Rousey in the UFC, I love her in the WWE, up and down in WWE. Her voice acting in Mortal Kombat is pretty similar to her mic skills in WWE, and not terrible, not great,
My dad, your grandfather, was my hero. Called me Private Pumpkin.
Now, I'm not throwing any shade at her, she's cool, but compared to the other voice acting in the game, everybody else in it was perfect. When she was talking, you just kind of had that feeling like you're watching somebody trying to voice act into a game.
You left me behind?
It's alright. I'll give her credit that sometimes I don't notice it.
Get your team home. That's an order. Your duty. Mine's to finish the mission.
Mom, no, we can save you!
I love you, Cass. Give your dad a kiss for me.
But sometimes I definitely notice it.
Damn it, Cassie! You abandoned me?
But also, not a deal breaker, it's just a small detail that, you know, slight qualm with it, but it's alright. The fighting and the cinematics flow pretty seamlessly.
Stupid Oshtek, destroying your future, crossing Shao Kahn.
It is you with no future, Baraka. Your Takatans are dead.
Impossible.
They allied with Melina against me. Persist, and you will die again.
Fight.
And not in the way that the Order 1886 was basically 8 hours of cutscenes that you got to interact with every once in a while. But more so that the cinematics build a really deep storyline that gets you even more excited to go annihilate someone. It's a lengthy story too that you feel really satisfied about after you've completed it. You can go back and play any part of any chapter whenever you want. Occasionally you have the option to choose between 2 fighters in story mode, so you can go back and complete them with the other fighter. And to make that easier, they put a handy little check mark next to each fighter that you have or have not completed that part of the story with. Minor spoiler, but you find out almost immediately into the story that the older characters, younger characters, have been brought to the current time.
The Mortal Kombat tournament. Kung Lao had just defeated Shang Tsung and Quan Chi.
We are decades beyond those events.
For us, they happened only moments ago.
And my favorite interactions are the ones between young Johnny Cage and current Johnny Cage.
So, a married lieutenant princess over there. Always had a thing for blondes. Ever since Susie DiNardo. Junior year. Take it from me, you didn't miss much. That woman over there, she's the real deal.
Oh, I got eyes, brother. As younger you, I saw him. You swear to tap that at the earliest opportunity. What? It's our destiny. out. Ah,
How the hell do I ever sleep with that guy?
They legit had me laughing out loud.
I got it. Twin cops. We'll hunt down a triad gang leader. Yes. And we'll call it double something.
Now, I'm not going to go any further into the story because I wouldn't want someone else to spoil it for me, so go pick up the game and find out for yourself. Next up under Conquer are the Towers of Time and the Classic Towers. And they're both, well, classic towers that you started out at the bottom and you fight your way up to the top. Now, if you lose a fight, it's okay. You don't have to start over from the beginning. You can actually select a new character to fight as if you'd like and give it a go again. As you defeat fighters, you can unlock rewards and currency that you can use in the crypt, which I'll get to next. When you beat the final opponent, you usually get a higher level of rewards, usually coins, fighter gear, and consumables. You can use consumables in the tower, which consist of different modifiers and power-ups that'll maybe help you get the upper hand in a fight. The main difference between Classic Towers and Towers of Time is that Classic Towers have the same setup always. Bigger and bigger. You have Novice, Warrior, Champion, Endless, and Survival. Basically easy, medium, hard, knock till you drop, and stupid. The last two are the exceptions where if you lose, you have to start over from the beginning again. If you manage to beat Survivor, please brag about it in the comments. Towers of Time is similar to Classic Towers, except for it's more of a daily missions version of it. You have a handful of different sets of towers that have a timer on them and will change to a new set to complete after time is up. You also have the option to spend currency to activate towers containing rewards for specific combatants, as it says verbatim on the menu. There's also the option to use tower keys that you acquire while fighting up the towers to get rarer, better rewards. It's a cool feature because you always have a fresh tower to look forward to if you've behemoth through the game. The Crypt is a neat idea for a game mode. It's sort of like a third-person adventure. You get Shao Kahn's hammer. You get Shao Kahn's hammer. I said a hammer again. You get Shao Kahn's hammer. I don't know why I couldn't say the word hammer. Right away so you can smash through walls and spend your currency on chests that you find scattered about the map. At first I thought the more basic, tattered looking chests yielded lamer, smaller rewards, while the fancy, more exquisite looking chests would yield far better, rarer, cooler results. After dropping thousands and thousands of coins in the crypt, I realized that that meant absolutely nothing, and the only thing that seemed to affect the outcome was the amount of currency that you had to put into the chest in order to unlock it. Which I suppose makes more sense, but you see where I'm coming from, right? The crypt is a cool idea. The fact that they didn't even need to make it at all, and they could have made a screen where you put in X amount of coins and you get extra rewards, shows that they wanted to put the effort in to make a really solid game. You can smash some of the items on the map to get small rewards, but if you're like me in Skyrim, I play as an Imperial, so I find a small amount of coins in like every lootable container. If you go around the room as you explore and you get all the currency you can find everywhere, over time that adds up to be a lot of currency. You get a map on the pause screen to see where you are and where you've explored. I'm not sure how this mode looks on other consoles, but for the Switch it looks pretty grainy, kind of blurry, pretty choppy frame rate, but since this is just a bonus mode to make spending your coins on rewards more fun, I can totally look past the flaws. Alright, now we move on to fight. In local you can fight one-on-one against a friend, well, hopefully, maybe an enemy for some reason, or against a computer opponent. It's pretty straightforward. Tourney is like local, but only against another person, except it plays like a tournament. I haven't played against anybody else, so I can't go too much further into detail about that, but if you've ever played any game with a tournament mode or heard of how a tournament works, you should have a pretty good idea of what's going on here. Online is obviously you fighting against other people online. You have a ranked combat league and you have ranked sets. You have casual versus against someone else, King of the Hill, I'll tell you what, and AI only matches, which I'll cover a bit more later. You can fight against a friend in private 1v1, a custom lobby where you can make the stipulations, and a practice mode. You also have rooms that you can join to create 1v1 or King of the Hill matches. AI battles are basically you choose 3 fighters to be your defenders,
Scorpion, Johnny Cage, Liu Kang.
And you can send them to fight other people's teams and vice versa. You can have them fight against random people and your friends, and you can earn rewards from them. Customize. Under characters, you can select each fighter and change their appearances, intros, victories, and abilities. There's a handful of the last 3, but there's a surprising amount of options for gear. I mean a lot. Like, I wasn't expecting any, and there's a ton to choose from. You have to unlock the majority of them, but that's what makes a game fun, by unlocking new stuff that you get to use. Each piece of gear also levels up as you fight with them, which unlocks augment sockets which can give different bonuses to your fighter. In Collection, you can view concept art that you've collected, as well as endings, recipes for creating different items, and music that you can listen to. Learn! In Learn, you have Practice Mode, which is similar to Super Smash Bros., where you can select the way that your AI opponent behaves, so you can improve your skills. If you're new to Mortal Kombat or haven't played in a while, then I suggest playing Tutorial because it just kind of teaches you some of the basic moves and combos as well as some more advanced techniques that are integral to playing and enjoying the game. If you're a Mortal Kombat veteran, you may be scoffing and saying, "Psh, I don't need to play Tutorial." Good for you. Really. You also have a Fatalities option so you can practice Fatalities. Even if you skip the tutorial, I do recommend you going into this one, even if just briefly. I mean, you can just learn on your own, but it also gets you used to the Fatality controls, as well as where to be standing near or far for whatever fighter you choose. You could also use it just to see a lot of Fatalities really quick, if you'd like. If you press ZL anywhere on the menu, it'll bring up your combat card, which shows you your level, your currency, your current activity with daily challenges you can complete to get rewards, race against time, and AI fighter daily rewards. There's also a notifications tab and a career stats tab that shows you all of your general overall stats playing the game. Pressing ZR brings up the store that you can spend currency on different rewards and items in the premium store, and the eShop where you can download time crystals and DLC characters, or the season pass. And pressing the plus button will bring up the options menu. Here you can change gameplay and tournament settings, controls which you can completely map however you'd like, which I love, and online and video settings. Okay, now that we've gotten through the game modes, I've talked a bit about graphics, but I held off a bit so I could talk about them more in depth now. I'm really impressed with how the game looks and plays on the Switch. Obviously, it's not going to be as crisp as the PS4 and Xbox One versions of the game, but it looks really good for the most part. The cinematics look amazing, like truly amazing.
That's freaky like Friday.
They shot our face, Johnny. They shot our face.
Ah, he's gonna get us killed.
I'm blown away by how good it looks and by how real it feels. Except Sonya sometimes.
Marry me and be Hollywood royalty.
And get hounded 24/7 by paparazzi?
Like they'd mess with you.
But they seriously did a fantastic job. When you transition to fighting as they smack talk each other a little bit.
Whew. Funny way of saying howdy, partner.
I was saying goodbye.
Now, why is a nice Texas boy like Aaron Black in bed with the Black Dragon? Older you works for Kotal Khan. He's one of the good guys, kinda.
When I pick sides, I pick a winner. Every time.
Fight.
You can see the quality of the graphics deteriorate a little bit, but the frame rate is nice and speedy with no dips that I've noticed. So if in order to keep the game running smoothly, it took a slight downgrade of graphics to do that, I'm down with that. The fighting itself is really smooth. Everything seems relatively realistic in the sense of contact with fighters and timing, where it could have had a delay or kind of ghost contact where it doesn't actually hit them, but they take damage and, takes away from it a little bit. This is really on point, and I really appreciate the attention to detail. One thing I did notice is that during the fights, the lower quality graphics are more or less noticeable depending on which stage you've chosen. I'm going to assume that that's mostly attributed to the color levels on the screen as well as how busy it is, but it's just something I noticed, so I'm sharing it with you. Now, even though I'm making mention that the graphics are a little bit less than the cinematics as far as quality goes, they still look great, don't get me wrong. And just being able to have a good quality console level handheld Mortal Kombat is fantastic on its own. You have 23 fighters you get to play as to start, and a couple of DLC characters you can buy if you'd like to. Another small spoiler, but I'm saving you some money, so you might want to hear this one. You can unlock Frost after you beat Stage 4 of the story mode. And Shao Kahn was a pre-order bonus. I meant to pre-purchase the game, but I'm not rich, so I got it a few days after it came out. Hey NetherRealms, if you want to hook me up with a Shao Kahn code because I've said so many nice things about your game, just throwing that out there. Even though they're true, so I'd have to say them anyways, but just saying. There's 19 arenas to fight in, which for the most part all feel pretty darn unique. I also have to say, I'm not 100% certain if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but every time I see Noob Sailbot on the screen, I think it says Noob Sailboat, and I laugh every time. At first the game was catching some flack because you had to grind a lot and you weren't really getting a lot for rewards. So they did the right thing and they released a patch where they updated the rewards that you get and what it takes to unlock them. And for a short period of time, as an apology and a thank you for playing the game, they gave a nice hefty gift of 500,000 coins that you can spend in the crypt, 500 hearts, 1,000 souls, and 1,000 time crystals. The patch also contained a lot of other fixes that people have been complaining about, and good for them. They're also seeming to work on some more patches that they're going to release in the future, and some people probably take that for granted, but they didn't have to do that. They could have said, screw that, that's the game, we're not doing anything about the issues, and too bad. Kind of like some other games that have been released. I really do appreciate when developers take the time to fix mistakes that they might have put in the game by accident, obviously, because it's a mistake. And even when they remedy small issues that people put requests out for, like more conveniency of getting through menus or just other specific aspects of games that make them easier to play, and when developers pay attention to that, good for you. You the real MVP. So thanks for being like that, NetherRealms. The load times aren't bad either. They take a few moments, sometimes a few moments longer than others, but it's quick enough where it doesn't really feel sluggish, except in the character select screen. The character models seem to take a little bit of time to appear in front of you, but whatever, no big deal. If they fix that, thank you. If not, whatever. But I mentioned it, so if you see this and you haven't heard that yet, that's a problem, so consider fixing it. And now for the coolest part of Mortal Kombat, the fatalities. The fatalities in this game are wicked cool. After you've kicked, punched, thrown, and impaled your opponent down to an inch of their life, you hear, "Finish him!" That, and you are presented with the opportunity to absolutely decimate and desecrate your unfortunate opponent, which is fun. Each character has one available to start, but you actually have a second one that you can unlock. You can find the prerequisites for each one under the Cosmetics tab of Customize under Finishers. Instead of a finisher, there's also a secret move called Mercy. To perform one, you need to be in the "Finish him!" or her part of the match. Be it about mid-ground in relation to your opponent, hold L2, press down on the analog stick or the D-pad 3 times, and then release L2. This will give your opponent some health back so you can hopefully beat them down again and perform a finisher or a brutality. A brutality is like a quick finisher that you perform by using a particular move, such as an uppercut, as the last strike of the match.
Brutality.
To the nether realm with you.
Scorpion wins.
One great thing about this game is that at any given match that you can pause, you're able to look at the control list for any and all moves. From basic strikes and combos to complicated ones, and most importantly, fatalities. Now before I end the video, here's a bunch of really cool fatalities.
air support.
What did you do, Daddy? Just what you asked. Not what I meant by the splits.
Wow. Now wasn't that just loads of fun? After seeing all that, I'm sure you're like, I'd really like to do that too. Well, for the standard AAA price tag of $59.99, you can pick up the game physically or digitally, your choice. If you're concerned about your memory card space being eaten up, this is about a 22.5 gigabyte game just to start. The base game itself is only around like 6.5 gigs, which isn't too bad, but the day one patch is like 16 gigs, so, it takes up a lot of space. That's also not including all the DLC that's scheduled to come out if you're interested in that, so just something to consider. I used to buy all of my games physically because I'm a collector at heart, and I feel the need to have the physical game and box. But for the Switch, I like the idea of it being more easily accessible, especially because I play mostly in handheld mode. It just seemed like the right decision for me. The only downside is that it takes up a lot more space. Currently, I have a 512 gigabyte micro SD card, so I can fit a lot of games, but I'm pretty close to filling it up, I'm not gonna lie. I would honestly buy a 2 terabyte micro SD card if they existed. I know that a 1 terabyte one is in the works and it's gonna be really expensive, but that means that a 2 terabyte one is probably gonna be on its way sometime after that. So at least they're increasing in size, and at some point people like me, and maybe you, who only buy digital games on Switch will actually be able to hold other games and not have to worry about having to re-download games, delete the space, and blah blah blah. The other downside to buying digitally is you don't get to have a really cool game box to display on the shelf. I remember hearing about Japan releasing, I believe, Super Smash Bros. With a box with a digital code inside, and I remember thinking at the time, that's stupid. But then I switched over to all digital, and now I love that idea. Now I really want that to be a regular thing because I really want the boxes for all the games that I have. Maybe NetherRealms will send me a box along with that code for Shao Kahn? Well, thanks for watching. I highly recommend this game to anybody who enjoys fighting games. In my opinion, it's the best fighting game of this style out on the Nintendo Switch right now. Tell me your thoughts on Mortal Kombat 11 in the comments below. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Punch that subscribe button and
Finish him!
by tapping that bell so you'll get notified when I release a new video. Thanks for watching, and I'll...
Fight!
No, I'm not gonna fight them, game announcer. I'll see you on the next one.